here's a situation your team is already in. A developer can call Claude Code or Cursor and in 5 minutes get 1,000 lines of code back. The reviewer on the other side has 40 minutes and a queue, and they cannot actually review that. Itamar Friedman, our CEO at Qodo, puts it exactly that way, and if you run an engineering organization, you've already felt it. So generation stopped being the bottleneck, and instead, trusting what came out became one. That was always the harder of the two jobs. AI just made it impossible to ignore, and it's why every team using GitLab is suddenly shopping for an AI code review tool. The tools we're looking at these days fall into two groups. First, GitLab's own offering, GitLab Duo, which comes with a premium and ultimate plans. Second, the dedicated AI review platforms, Qodo, CodeRabbit, and Greptile. A couple of names people ask about drop off right here. GitHub Copilots and Graphite are GitHub only. So for a GitLab team, the decision really is Duo, or one of the dedicated platforms. Let's be fair to Duo first, because it's a sensible baseline. It lives inside GitLab's own UI, it comments directly on the merge request, and if you're already paying for Premium or Ultimate, the review feature is included. For a single product team on one repository that needs a lightweight feedback in the merge request thread, that's a reasonable place to start, and the math starts in its favor. Where it runs out of room is at the enterprise level. It reviews the merge request in front of it, which is fine, but the moment you need it to reason across repositories, checking a change against a shared API contract, or another service that depends on it, you're outside of its scope. It doesn't have a real rule system. There's no centralized place to define your standards, enforce them across distributed teams, and have the tool learn from prior review decisions instead of reflagging the same thing forever. And it's a single reviewer, not a suite. So the honest read is, Duo is fine baseline if you're already on Premium and you need basic in-thread review. But it isn't a replacement once you need cross-repository context or enforceable rules. Here's the trap in vendor docs. Works with GitLab can mean a webhook that posts one comment, or it can mean a deep integration with your CI pipelines, native merge request threads, and full self-managed support. If you run GitLab Self-Managed or GitLab Dedicated, and a lot of teams in finance, healthcare, and governments do, your source code can't be sent out to a multi-tenant API. That single requirement rules out most of the cloud-only tools right away. CodeRabbit's self-managed support is limited and it has no air-gapped option. Greptile does not support self-hosted GitLab at all. So on the regulated end, the AI review shortlist narrows to two, Qodo and GitLab Duo. That's worth considering. If compliance is a hard requirement for you, the decision is nearly made before you compare features. This is where Qodo fits. It runs natively across GitLab, GitLab Self-Managed, and GitLab Dedicated, including air-gapped deployments where the code never leaves your infrastructure. So it covers the full range, from a 5-person team up to a regulated enterprise. Two things make it more than a single reviewer. It runs a suite of specialized agents, so instead of one generic pass, you get findings grouped by concern. Critical issues, duplicated logic, ticket compliance, breaking changes. And those findings tie back to a rule system you actually own, not just to whatever the model happened to infer that day. Let me show you how that looks like on a real merge request. So here's an open pull request on my GitLab for a project called API Server. This also has a web client. As I open my PR, I get a PR summary by Qodo. This summarizes all of the changes that I have made, and on a first look, they all look very simple. Nothing here screams trouble, but Qodo actually flags a problem. And this problem is actually a cross-repo conflict. So while nothing is breaking at this repository, the changes that I'm trying to merge here are going to break my web client. Qodo looks for exactly this kind of issues, because these are the ones that create production incidents. Not only that, Qodo's suggestions are based off your rules. This means that whatever Qodo flags is not just AI's assessment of your diff, but it's actually a standard you have set up. A violation of that standard, security issue, or a bug will immediately get flagged. And if you're accidentally breaking a contract with another repo, this will get flagged too. This means that the hardest to find issues are not going to just slip by unnoticed. The part to watch here is the cross-repository finding. The change looked clean on its own, and it broke a contract another service depends on. That's the class of problem a single project reviewer structurally can see, and it's usually the expensive one. Let's do a quick fair pass on the other tools. CodeRabbit works well on GitLab SaaS, with native merge request comments and CI support, and for a small to mid team that just wants faster individual reviews, it's a real option. It gets thin on self-managed and has no air-gapped path. Greptile is built around indexing and natural language search across your codebase. If that's mostly what you want, with a review layer on top, it fits. But once again, it only works on GitLab SaaS. If you only take one thing from this, the deciding questions aren't centered around which tool is the best. It's whether you're self-managed, whether changes have to be checked across project boundaries, and how much you need to enforce your own rules. Answer those honestly, and the shortlist picks itself.